Well, there's another fella that might be calling Stephen anytime now. I don't know if he needs Stephen P. News number 888-692-8084, but our boy Cash Wheeler made some news this past week. Have we heard his story, or have we just heard the other guy's story so far?
First of all, he's not our boy. He's your boy, maybe.
Oh, come on.
Well, yeah, I did hear his story. I will talk about what the police have said or what the accusation is. His story is that the gun was planted by the Bang Bang Gang.
Oh, come on now.
Bullet Club Gold, bang bang!
No, hey, now just because...
And the guns!
Just because there's every reason to believe that the Freebirds planted those drugs on Kerry when he came through the DFW airport doesn't mean that history is going to repeat itself. And people think we're kidding.
No, 83. That happened.
Fans were actually calling the police saying that Freebirds planted it.
They found Kerry and his girlfriend at the time, I don't know if they were married, coming across the border from Mexico with like every color pill you could ever imagine and all sorts of powders. And it didn't become a big issue because of the power of Fritz, but also when the little bits of it got into the newspaper, that's when people started calling the police station saying that if anyone would have these kind of pills, it's Michael Hayes.
Yes, it must have been Michael Hayes. He's a goddamn pharmacy. Hey, this is totally not the subject, but you know about Buddy Roberts in the boot, right? You know that story.
I don't know.
The fucking Freebird, it's Reunion Arena, one of the Star Wars events that they ran like 4 times a year in the big Von Erich's Freebird feud of 83. And this was whatever's happening in the match. Buddy Roberts has hit the ring to help the Freebirds beat down the Von Erichs, and Buddy takes his goddamn cowboy boot.
Oh, I do know this.
To hit one of the Von Erichs over the head with it. When he raises it up, an ounce of fucking weed falls out in the middle of the ring. And he just snatches up, puts it in his pocket, and keeps hitting the guy with the fucking cowboy boot. Anyway, okay, well then maybe you can enlighten me some, because here's what I heard. We heard on the internet all of a sudden, just a day or so ago, that Cash Wheeler got arrested in Florida for aggravated assault with a weapon or with a deadly weapon. I don't know exactly what the phrase is of the charge, but aggravated assault with a weapon of some description. And what the fuck, right? And then come to find out, I guess the complaint was filed back a couple of weeks ago, and he turned himself in along with, I guess, his attorney here a day or two ago, and then was arraigned, I believe is the phraseology. And they put him out on $2,500 bail and told him not to have any contact with whoever this other guy is. Obviously, it wasn't a domestic situation. It was now being called a road rage deal. And the story that, if you know Cash's side, let me tell the other guy's story as I understand it from reading the complaint that was on the internet, that this guy, whatever his name is, driving down the road and sees in his rearview mirror a car, I don't know what the terminology was, darting or dodging in and out of traffic, coming up quick. And this guy gets over to let the car go by, but that car goes to the right of him on the shoulder, pulls up next to him. A guy with a beard points a handgun at him and then drives on.
So it's not funny, but just...
Well, it's not funny, but no, that's what the guy said. That was his story. He didn't know who this fucking guy was. A guy with a beard, white guy with a beard, points a gun at him, and then drives on down the road. But now they're committed, I guess, to going off on the exit. So he takes a picture of the license plate and then, I guess, contacts the authorities, and they end up, it's Cash's license plate, I guess, and or the guy identified his picture when they got the picture that goes to the license plate or whatever.
Yeah, they said he identified the picture, I believe.
Okay. And so Cash hears about it, turns himself in, and pleads not guilty. And I saw they had 2 minutes of the arraignment clipped on Twitter, and I saw his attorney is saying, okay, here's a 36-year-old man with no criminal record, and he's pleading not guilty. And we asked for $2,500 bail, and they granted that. And off he goes, and he's paid the bail, and he's been released and free to pursue a life of religious freedom and make the Wembley Stadium show, because I guess that's aggravated assault with a deadly weapon by the definition of the law in the legal books, but I don't necessarily think that's, when you think of aggravated assault with a weapon, you're thinking he beat him over the head with a fucking bat or whatever.
Yeah, when I first saw the charges, I thought like, oh, okay, they pulled over on the road, he got out of the car, and I pulled the gun on him. Not like he drove by waving the gun at him.
Well, but
which is still not okay, but
here's what I was going to say, and maybe your what you have to add to this will help me out with my problems understanding. I don't know what this guy, I do know that I've been on both sides of police witness statements for and again, and I've also been on both sides of statements made in civil litigation. And Brian, you would be surprised. You'd be surprised how many times that the two sides do not in any way coalesce or match with each other. Completely opposite stories. But the guy's story was that I have the problem is Cash Wheeler is a 36-year-old guy with no criminal record. And he's a TV, if not star, he's on television. He's a recognizable person, especially in the state of Florida. If this guy sees him in the rearview mirror, dodging or swerving or merging in and out of traffic and coming up fast,
trying to get home.
Well, and he gets
sorry, because I'm driven like a maniac on the road. Sometimes that's what you do. You drive. I shouldn't.
Well, no, I don't. And I was going to say, I don't. Do you do that really? Just because you're trying to get fucking home, you're swerving in and out of fucking traffic?
I wouldn't say, when you say traffic, I mean, no one's like standing still, but if it's like moving, but no one's really going at a faster pace, and you see a route where you can go like in and out a few times and the road will open up, hey, absolutely. I'm not waving a gun around. And
the verbal picture that this guy's painting is it's fucking goddamn the movie Duel, and there's poor Dennis fucking Weaver sweating because this goddamn 18-wheeler's bearing down on him. He sees enough to get out of the way for this guy, move over so this guy can come past, and then Cash goes to the right of him on the shoulder. If he's just moved out of the way, why would there be a need for that? Because he just moved out of the way. And then if Cash pointed the gun at him for the crime of moving over and getting out of the way, then has Cash just been pointing the gun at everybody that he was passing? He's like, get out of my fucking way. I'm going home like Brian Last. What?
Not like Brian Last. I usually don't wave my gun around. I don't have a gun in the car.
No, I'm telling you.
And there's no guns being waved around.
He was driving home like you, being a menace to society behind the wheel, but he didn't have a gun.
Leaving everyone alone and driving efficiently yet fast.
All right. And taking every opportunity you can to take any open space and run with it. But the point is, was Cash waving a gun at everybody? If Cash was coming up fast and this guy got over, and then Cash got to the right of him and pointed the gun at him, was he the guy that maybe Cash was chasing? Was there more to the story? Or is this all bullshit? And did he point at him with a fucking finger wag and give him a stern talking to, and the guy didn't fucking like it?
There's the big thing, and there's why Cash will skate on this. I'm Cash Wheeler. Ask me about what I did with the gun.
What did you do with the gun, Cash?
What gun?
Good idea. Because who else saw him with a gun?
I'm saying I didn't have a gun. This one guy saying he saw me with a gun, but he took a picture of my plate, not me waving my gun around in the air. What gun? Sorry to be on the defense here.
But besides that, what precipitated this? We're expected to believe that Cash Wheeler, because a guy moved over a lane to get out of his way, decided to fucking bop around the guy on the shoulder and point a gun at him? What happened first? Do you have it? What is Cash's uh, reflection on this, if any, that you know?
That I know, Cash's reflection is, I'm not going to say anything, and my lawyer's going to do the talking until this is over.
Well, that's good. That's smart. Has the lawyer said anything yet?
Just what we saw at the arraignment.
Okay, so what I'm saying is
All arraignment wrestling.
All arraignment wrestling. I'm not saying if Cash did point a fucking semi-automatic fucking gun at somebody for moving over a lane, then that's probably conduct that won't fly in this fucking current environment in society, and I would not be able to agree with it either. But I got to hear more details.
And by the way, it is important to note that as of, from what I'm seeing here, as of July 1st, Florida they allow concealed carry.
Well, yeah, here's another thing. They called a guy and said, come down to the court and turn yourself in because some guy says you pointed a gun at him, when they just made it legal for people to walk around with guns hidden on their fucking person. So you don't think this is going to start happening more often?
Right. I mean, that's really the big story of this whole thing with Cash Wheeler. Florida sucks. Why does anyone live there anymore?
Well, I thought he lived in North Carolina.
Yeah, that's I believe that right next to Tampa.
What? No, God. All right, I'm confused on his geography, but anyway, here's the point. I need to hear more details because that story does not add up. And I've been involved in situations this was road rage of anonymous people. And I've told you some stories, Brian, and we've told some on the podcast of being in car chases and car situations with angry fans going after the heels in the territory days, which is obviously not this incident, where somebody was actively threatening somebody else, chasing somebody else because of who they specifically were. I don't think the heels have to carry guns anymore because of who they are in wrestling. But, it seems like since everybody's got a fucking gun, more of this shit's going to happen, and then whoever gets mad about it the most is going to call the cops on the other guy. So let's see what the fuck happened from all standpoints before we decide. Remember the guy that claimed in the newspaper and in the police statement that I walked over to the rail and began clubbing him about the fucking head for no apparent reason? When our story was, well, after he hopped the rail and tackled Bobby Eaton, I came around the corner and whacked him on top of the head. Those were two completely different things.
I'm telling you, I'm going with what gun? What gun? What did the gun look like?
I'm saying it doesn't make sense as the story is told. If Cash was some drunk, fucking pilled up, goddamn miscellaneous average human, maybe. But why would a guy that's on television, that is recognizable, that has no criminal record, be driving down the street, fucking pointing guns at people at random that have not been involved with him before, even seconds before, minutes before, in some other fashion? I will leave the door open that the driver and the complainant may have potentially done something to instigate some behavior that he then maybe wasn't fond of afterwards. But
the driver had a skullet and was listening to Kansas.
There you go. He's the lost buckaroo. But no, I need more information. I need to hear much more about this before. And apparently the court does too, because if they let you out on $2,500 bail and say, yeah, go wherever you want, do whatever you want, and you turn yourself in anyway, what kind of menace to society do they think you are?
No, he's going to skate. What gun? That's it. That's all he has to do. What gun? If there's no photo of him waving this gun around, this guy had enough time to take a photo of the license plate, but nothing else. What gun? Let me ask you this. Everyone has presumed that likely at Wembley, FTR will be losing the titles and losing the third match to the Young Bucks. Now with Cash Wheeler's arrest, everyone's really thinking it. The fact that this is now public, does that change what you do? And secondly, to the AEW story, if Tony knew about this, does it I guess the question is, when did Cash let AEW know? Was it when this all broke, which I think is probably unlikely, or was it when it first happened and the warrant was issued? But in terms of AEW's response to it, what do you think?
Well, I was against the idea of FTR losing this match at Wembley anyway. I think they should win the 2 out of 3. But now, since pretty much everybody thinks that's the nail in the coffin, that's when I would switch it up two things. And number one's insurmountable. If Cash was up front with this and has no heat with Tony and told him it was going on, and it doesn't prevent him from making any appearances and harm business in that respect, and if Tony, obviously, I would think, is a guy that would know what Cash's side was, and if he's still got Tony's confidence because of what that story is, then I definitely would put FTR over, because it would shock people even more. But the insurmountable problem with that is the Bucks they're not going to want to lose the match at the biggest show of all time, and they're flying their whole family over, I'm sure, and they're going to have box seats, and they're going to have streamers and cake and punch and pie and noisemakers, and pat each other on the dicks and talk about how great they are. And what's good for business or better for the overall company or story or whatever the case is going to come secondary to that. So prove me wrong, Bucks. Put the guys over. They're better than you, and you know it.
Hey, one other question. Other than the fact this is an ongoing legal matter concerning talent that thus far has not been suspended, there's been no public reprimand, he's going to be booked as he was going to be. So far, that's what it looks like.
But wrestling booked, you mean? Now yeah. There's two kinds of booking going on.
That's true.
Here.
That's true. Do you think AEW should have done something different on Collision last night as we are recording? Where they had to, they announced FTR was going to say something, and that was a real false advertising moment right there. Because even though they did, it was in a package and had nothing to do with this.
I was about to say, I would have sworn FTR, I've skipped through so many of those quick 10-second comments in those fucking packages. I didn't even see them.
Should they have started the show, or should they at least have addressed this issue on the show? Do you think people were tuning in thinking they would?
It's an ongoing legal situation, and because it's not something that can ever even be used in storyline or should be, I think they probably should have done something. Even if Cash did just a promo in the back, for those of you who know, hey, there's two sides to every story, and one I've got's going to be coming out sooner or later, but I promise you this, there's nothing going to stop me from being in London at Wembley Stadium next weekend or whenever the fuck. And that's a fact. And then just have the announcers reiterate, FTR will be blah, blah, blah against the Buckaroos. And just make sure that they know, the fans, that they're going to see the match. That was very quick to comment on something that would be fairly trivial if he weren't a public figure, and it's not something that they can use to draw any money with going forward. The whole idea is he going to be there or not? Not give the whole goddamn story right now, I think.
Well, we shall see what happens with Cash Wheeler, and we'll see who else gets arrested in the weeks ahead in AEW.
Why are you transitioning out of a topic like it's your show when it's my show?
It's your show. Boy, they can't get out of their own way, AEW. It's like the only reason we weren't talking about Punk fighting with everyone is because Cash got arrested, and Punk fighting with everyone stopped us from talking about the women's locker room issues, which stopped us from the thing before that. It's like nonstop. When you watch, and we'll talk about it later, when you watch that Cody documentary, you understand why he's so calm now in those interview settings.
Goose Fraba. He's like a Zen master now, that he's back in, he thrives in a corporate environment because he likes to wear a suit and shit. And we'll talk about the Cody documentary here in a few minutes, but he likes to wear the suit. He likes to interact with people. You could see him do production chores and things at AEW. And these other guys are in their fucking sloppy clothes and their fucking skateboards, and they don't give two shits. And it just, yeah. There's a big difference. Well, I'll tell you what Cash should have done there in that incident. Brian, he would have got out of this scot-free. We wouldn't have heard a thing about it. Nothing would have happened. You want to know how?
How's that?
Well, I'll tell you, Wilbur. It's quite simple because the description of him was a white guy with a beard. All he had to do was go home and shave that son of a gun off. And if he had that slick baby face that's underneath that, well, nobody would have ever recognized. He could have said some terrorist had absconded with his vehicle. He doesn't know where it's at.
A terrorist.
Well, you know, they got those long beards all the way down to their crotches. Folks, don't look like a terrorist and don't get arrested for road rage. Shave your face, and the rest of you, for that matter, with our friends from Manscaped's Platinum Package. Because they're going to make your package look like it's made out of platinum. You know, we haven't had Manscaped on in a while. There was a slight interruption, but we want to remind you that they've got the world's finest toys to treat your beautiful boys. And nothing is better than the Platinum Package 4.0. What are you snickering at over there?
Nothing like a bad rhyme to make me laugh.
Everybody knows you need to take care of your bouncing bundle of joy. And the Platinum Package 4.0 from Manscaped.com is the one-stop shop for the man who has a lot of problems on his body in various places. This is going to get rid of all the disgustingness on you. You're going to get the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, which is the best body shaver that's ever been created by modern medicine and scientific technology. You're going to get the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer to get all those shaggy bushes out of your various other head holes. You're going to get ultra premium body wash and 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner and deodorant to keep yourself from smelling like a man eating Fremunda cheese in a septic tank of a slaughterhouse. And they've even got crop preserver stuff to make sure your balls don't chafe. I mean, they've got it all just tricked out here. Proprietary advanced skin safe technology.
They've got it all
to protect all your delicate parts and holes, you know, the saggy and the wrinkly stuff. You're not going to slice yourself from asshole appetite with these things, folks. And you can upgrade your shower routine with the ultra premium body wash and ultra premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, where you will smell like a floozy from a New Orleans whorehouse. And don't forget to apply their aluminum-free ultra premium deodorant for that cologne quality scent on the go. Cologne quality, folks. It don't get no better than for a scent. When it's up there, that's all the way up into the fucking orange level of warning. They can smell you coming a mile away. They're going to cover all your bases from head to toe and hair to balls and all that stuff right now. While they're still friendly with us, folks, go to manscaped.com. Our old friends, we've always thought so much of them and remember them at Christmas. Don't take this personally. Manscaped.com, you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code DRIVE, D-R-I-V-E. That's because that's your program, Brian. 20% off and free shipping with the code DRIVE at manscaped.com. And you'll save money and you'll smell better and you'll be slicker. And you know what? You don't want a liquor unless she's slicker.
I think what we mean to say is, welcome back, Manscaped. We love you. And we're happy to have you back. And everyone should support our sponsors because they support us.
A lot of these things will work on females, too.
Well, yeah, not gender exclusive or anything.
Well, at Manscaped, so I don't want to scare the fairer sex in our audience off. You can get rid of a lot of hair, and you might smell like a guy, but, you know, you'll get rid of a lot of hair with some of this stuff.
You just have to think about the hair removal, not the scent. There's no scent that's given off by the shaving.
No, not the shaving, but you might not want to have a cologne quality scent if you're a woman.
If you're a woman.
But it's aluminum free, so you got that going for you.
You want to get ladyscaped.